Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Racing Xtra, and we're back by popular demand after Tommy Huey's interview last week.
Yeah.
We thought we'd squeeze one more in before Christmas. Aaron Macy, I'll throw it over to you.
And new Sydney trainer, Peter Robl. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Peter, welcome.
Thank you.
How you going?
Going terrific. It's always been one of my ambitions in life to get on the show, so I'm glad I finally made it.
Yeah,
You made it.
exactly. And obviously last Saturday was a good day for you, having the strong connection with Centre Pivot.
Yeah, it was a terrific day all round, As you know, I got my licence all approved and showing up on the Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
Went up to Brisbane, as everyone knows, Blake come up and rode him. So the connection there was great, and he'd always been aimed for the 1800 Stage Cup at Magic Millions. Burnborough was always going to be his third up run, so it's just great when you have a plan and it comes off, and if he turns up in 3 weeks' time, Magic Millions is going to be extremely hard to beat, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
Do you want to I'd like to just touch on that quickly, and then we'll go back to your riding, but there was always a plan, as you said, and the way it looks with your training method is you like to take your time, you like to race and fit, but you do treat them all as individuals.
I do. Look, the Magic Million plan with myself and Billy Mitchell came about when we got the horse off Sam Kavanagh.
Yep.
So it wasn't something that was just last prep. We'd planned to give him 3 runs, 3 weeks in the paddock, bring him back. First up, 1350, second up the festival, third up the Burnborough, into the Magic Million. So it was kind of a long-winded plan. Now, he did win 2 of them 3 preps, and then we turned him out, and everyone probably scratched their head wondering, why we turned him out in form, so forth. But, we'd had the plan, and, we wanted to stick to that plan, so that we did. They come back, took them couple of runs, first up on a heavy track, which didn't suit him. Second up, the race probably wasn't suited to run, but we knew that we had him at the stage we needed him to be getting up to Brisbane. As you said, I'm probably quite soft on the way I approach the training. Caper. I think it's just my belief that there's different trainers suit different horses, and I'm always under the belief that you give them a trial when they're at that point where you're happy to trial them, and generally their first and second up runs, whilst I believe they're fit enough to win, they definitely have improvement in them, and I do aim to have my horses peaking 3rd, 4th, 5th run, because in that sense I think you get longer preparations out of them.
Yep.
And I think it benefits a horse that you get them back for plenty of preparations in the future.
Yeah, seems a more kind of a Guy Walter style of training.
Yeah, a little bit. Probably not going to be as stayer orientated as Guy was. He loved his stays, and that suited him, but he did have that slow progression and that slow build up into his training methods.
Yep.
And as we all know, his horses could sustain a long preparation. So, I think if that's something I can aim to do, because quite, honestly, I believe that I'm just starting out, so realistically I need to offer something different. So I think in that sense that suits my style of training, and probably suits the class horse I'm gonna be having.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think the introduction to the whole story could come through your riding days, and I suppose the type of trainers that you used to ride for, you'd probably be picking up lots of lessons from them along the way.
Yeah, rode for pretty much all the good trainers in Sydney. Rode for a lot of terrific country trainers before I moved to Sydney.
Yep.
So you do pick up bits and pieces along the way. I was always fortunate that weight was never a huge issue, so in saying that sense, I could ride quite a lot of work and in the mornings, and didn't wear myself out because I wasn't wasting as hard as a Huey or a Blake.
Yep.
Yeah. I could go home and have a bit of brekkie, so a lot of the times I had some for them as well. So, but you definitely pick up little bits, things you like, certain things you don't like.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you've got to find your own niche when you get there. So along the way, when I come to Sydney, I rode for Clary, who's a great trainer, 2-year-olds.
Yep.
And you learn how to get a 2-year-old up and going, and running quickly, you know.
Yeah.
And then you ride for Gay, who's all bone and muscle, you know, works them hard, feeds them hard, which is a true and tried formula. And then, you know, I've done a bit of riding for Peter Snowden, who's more probably the softer approach.
Yep.
Takes his time, he's happy to turn one out, bring it back, turn it out, bring it back, and which I think is a great approach. So you pick up little bits here and there and then just try and mash them together and hopefully it works for you.
Beautiful.
Let's back on your riding days. What are some of the standout moments for you that you've had as a rider? Favourite horses, all that sort of stuff.
Look, years and years ago, I rode a horse called a Regal Dane, who's probably a real favourite horse.
Yep.
He was a first grade by Danehill, going back to years, and it's amazing how things work out. I actually worked for the bloke that bred him, and he got into Danehill for $7,000. So and I think he ended up winning 14 races or something, and he was just an old marvel, like he was never a world beater, but he was just a great horse to do anything with, you know. And then I teamed up with Greg McDermott, and we had a lot of success through the years, like riding in the bush. But probably the highlight of my career is probably not so much riding winners, probably the fact that I made the decision to come to Sydney at a late age and survived.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, because I was happy. Clary Connors and Edmund Bateman were the two people that approached me when Clary was training for Edmund, and I was happy to come for 6 months, see it out, and then, you know, go back to the bush, because I was, you know, at the end of the day living quite a good life.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't ride a lot of work, rode a lot of winners, and lived an enjoyable life. So I was happy to come for 6 months, give it a whirl, and go home.
Yeah.
Well, probably the greatest achievement is the fact that 10 years later I'm still here, and you know, I not only survived but succeeded in the process.
Do you think it's a personality thing that a lot of the bush jockeys don't come here, or do you think it's ability, or is it adjusting to city lifestyle?
No, look, I think it's a little bit of everything. Ability, because when I come to Sydney, my personality definitely helped.
Yeah.
Because I'm quite laid back.
Yeah.
Didn't get too razzed about getting a spray or you know, because naturally the trainers in Sydney were harder to ride for, because it's not
higher stakes, higher pressure.
Yeah, more pressure.
There's a little bit more pressure there.
Bit more professionalism, all of that. So probably my laid back attitude helped me survive that. But they're definitely a different class of jockey that rides in Sydney. And don't get me wrong, when I come to Sydney, I had to work twice as hard as what I did in the bush. Otherwise, I wouldn't have lasted 3 weeks. Yeah. Because even though at that time I was probably out riding everyone in the bush, well, the first month I was here, even your run-of-the-mill jockeys were out riding me here. Yeah. So it was either me lift my game or go home. So I elected to lift my game, and the rest is history.
Yeah. How much time did you put in the form going in when you were a rider?
Put quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because I do think you have a general idea of where you want to ride your horse.
Yeah.
But that only works if you have a general idea of where the rest of the field's going to be.
Exactly.
You might say to yourself, well, I know my horse lobs 4th, 5th, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
But that's no good if you don't know how much speed's in the race, or whether there's 2 leaders in the race, no leaders. Yeah. And I think where the good jockeys are different to all your other jockeys is their ability to change. You know, they can ride a horse that's midfield and all of a sudden, and Huey Bowman's a great one for doing it.
Yeah.
He'd be on something that's midfield all it starts, and all of a sudden he's up outside the leader.
Yeah.
Simply because he's done his form, he knows there's no speed, and you can be outside the leader going the same speed as what it was its last start. Yeah. You sit in midfield.
Yeah,
so I think there's a great emphasis on not only doing your own form, but knowing where, you know, relatively the rest of the field's going to be and what sort of tempo's going to be in the race. And in saying that, riders come into quite a fair bit when I done my form, because I believe certain riders ride in a certain manner. Yeah. You know, certain jockeys will go forward on horses that generally don't go forward, or certain jockeys will ride something that lobs midfield, all of a sudden they'll be back second last on it. So that also, I thought that also played a big part in it.
Okay. And before you, I suppose, was it the fall that you had that sort of made you realise that riding was no longer your go and time to be a trainer? Or were you thinking about that beforehand?
Look, I was always probably going to go down this road.
Yep.
As in training.
Yep.
But it was probably 10 years down the track.
Okay. Yep.
Because I always enjoyed it. You know, it's a hard animal not to love, and you know, I always loved being around horses. So it was something that I was probably going to venture into, but probably 10, 12,
Right.
whatever years down the track. So naturally, when I fell off at Scone,
Yeah.
that sped the process up. But through probably the sad loss of Guy Wilder, actually sped up what was probably going to be maybe a 4-year process,
Okay.
up to into a 4-month process. When Guy passed away, Blake asked me to go and give Wendy a hand to like run the stable,
Yep.
which I was happy to do because I was doing nothing at the time.
Mhm.
So that probably sped that process up again.
Wow.
So in the sad loss of Guy, you know, and I'd hate to say it, but I'd probably benefit out of it.
Yeah.
Because I got a real insight into how he trained through Wendy
Yeah.
and got up and going.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Guy and Wendy were a real training sort of partnership. Even though it was always Guy we saw in the books, the race book.
Yeah.
Wendy was quite heavily involved.
Yeah, she was there beside Guy every day.
Okay.
Every day, every morning. She was always at the races with him, so she probably had as much input as Guy, you know.
Okay.
So basically everything Guy did, once he passed away, she knew exactly the processes he had in place and how he worked his horses. So it was just like being there with Guy for that couple of months.
Yeah.
And back to Randwick, and how did the process happen? We're at your Sedgenho stables now. It's in Randwick, and I suppose you were explain to the viewers. Were you training the Sedgenho horses under John Sargent's name until your license was approved? Was that the process?
Probably more of the process. I was running the stable.
Yep.
John still had a fair input into
Yep.
training the horses, but I was more so just supervising, managing the stable.
Yep.
Under John Sargent. How it came about was I rode quite a bit for Kevin Maloney when I was riding,
Okay.
and then when I fell off, Kevin was at me to come in because he had the stable here. He wanted me to come and run the stable, and hopefully it was always in the plan for me to get a licence and then take over the training of the Sedgenho horses.
Yeah.
The licence probably took 8 months longer than we'd anticipated,
Yeah.
but you know we finally got there, and John was terrific to work for. You know, got some good insights into how he trained. You know, he'd had good success with them mares in the Oaks and what have you. So there was another good insight of how to train a filly to run a journey.
Yeah.
So it's all been beneficial along the way, and now we're here doing it on our own.
How much has it changed since you first were with Wendy to now? Like, how much have you learnt and changed what you thought was training? Has it changed, or is it?
No, the dynamics have pretty much stayed the same.
Yeah.
Since like from the time I stopped riding to now. So it's all about, you know, your work equals, you know, how they eat, so, and how their legs are holding up. So the dynamics have pretty much stayed the same.
Okay.
And the news came through the other day. You obviously got your trainer's license, which is a huge result for you.
Great result. So yeah, as I said, it probably took 8 months longer than we'd anticipated, but you know, it's finally come through, which is great. You know, couldn't have done it without the support of Sedgenho, Kevin Maloney. You know, and the A2C, well, it was good of them to, you know, grant me permission to train here, and yeah, it's finally through, and now, you know, the future's in my hands. So you know, I was always a great believer everyone's given a chance in life. It's up to the individual what they do with it.
Yeah. So what's the future goals for Peter Robl Racing?
The future goals, probably this stage, is to get a good outside client base. Even though at this stage, the majority of the horses are Sedgenho trained horses, they're not exclusively going to be Sedgenho trained horses. So, you know, the more outside clients I can get, well, naturally, that's going to set me up for the future a lot better. So, ideally in 12 months, I would like to have consolidated myself, consolidated a good client base, and be ticking over winners at a good rate.
Yep.
And where will you be based?
Here at Randwick.
Yeah.
Here at Randwick. So
Are your stables moving from where we are now?
no, hopefully
You'll be here. You want to stay here?
We'll stay here, where
Oh,
we are at
beautiful.
Randwick here. It's a good facility, they're good stables. So, and I enjoy being here. And I've enjoyed my time over the last 18 months being here, so happy to stay.
Yeah, beautiful.
And the punters will see Peter Robl in the race book from now on. Is that right? Or
Yeah.
how that process?
Yeah, from now on I had my first run as Boxing Day
Yeah.
up the Gold Coast. We have Aussie Love Sportsman who went terrific in the Razor Sharp first up.
Yeah.
Loping, her form's been a little bit indifferent, but she drops in grade from the Razor Sharp to a Fillies and Mares quality.
Mhm.
And then a little filly that we have up there called Sugar Palmer. She won
Yeah.
her first start, so she's probably getting tucked, a little bit into the deep end in the
Okay.
Bruce
Yeah.
McLaughlin. But at this, this time of the year, they either measure up or they may as well be, having a spell. So we'll find out where she's at on Saturday. So they're my first 3 runners, and so when the punters look in the book, they'll see me there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And you're looking to buy some horses up at the Millions?
Yeah, looking to buy probably, 3 or 4.
Yep.
So got a couple of blokes that, are going to buy a couple of horses for me up there. So, it's an exciting time. Hopefully we can buy a couple ourselves and, maybe syndicate them. So
Yeah, beautiful.
it's a good time of the year.
Alright, beautiful. Hopefully we can catch up in 6 months and might have the next Magic Millions winner.
Yeah, like I said to Kevin the other day, I've got to make it as a trainer because if everyone remembers, I didn't make it as a punter.
Yeah.
You got to have a laugh.
You have to have a laugh, that's it. No,
Yeah.
you're allowed to now, you might learn.
Yeah.
Something.
That's why
I'll have to improve.
a friend of the show. You know what us punters have to struggle through most Saturdays with small fields and all that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
it's a tough game, isn't it?
It's a hard gig actually. It's a hard gig.
Yeah.
It is a hard
Yeah.
game. That's
Okay.
it.
Onwards and upwards for Peter Robl, and congratulations on your first good results on the weekend.
Yeah, no, it's terrific.
Great training effort.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks very much, boys.
Thank you.
Boys, and
We'll do it
talk to you
again.
again soon.
Sounds
And Merry
good.
Christmas to everyone from the Punters Show. See ya.
See ya.